two sets of a coin. So when you flip a coin, right, the normal coin, you got two faces, heads or tails. And this goes out for international currency. Any country that uses a coin, you can pick it up, right? You see two sides, heads or tails, or that's a common word, or a picture and a number, right? Or an icon and a number. When you flip a coin, the chances are you're either gonna get heads or you're gonna get tails. So 50-50. The same thing goes for us. When we first meet each other, we don't know which version of that person we're gonna meet. Like, let's say, all of a sudden, we met, and like, oh, hello, hi, how are you doing? And after a couple words in, you start getting the version of that person you're talking to. And we don't know if it's a real version, right? In this case, heads, or another version, tails. So the comparison here is pretty simple. What I want you to know is that it doesn't matter who you meet. You'll never know the true version of themselves. You'll never. Because as we evolve, we tend to wear masks. And not like COVID-19 type of mask, not that shit. We're talking about face mask. Like, if I meet another person, oh, happy mask. If I meet another person, real mask. If I meet a person, fake mask. We get different identities of every person, right? And so that counts for one person. One person has an uncountable amount of mask. So when you have 7 billion people on this planet, every single one of them holds each different mask. And you got all these same people, right? Same people, same 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes, but you get a different version of them, right? Today you might meet another version of them. The day after tomorrow, you might meet another version of them. You'll never know. That goes out for every single one of you. Even me. When I meet a person, like a person I've never met before, I've got a new identity. I'm putting up this persona for people to see that this is who I am for newcomers. But as we progress on, like our friendship moves forward, you get a different version of me again. You get this, childish, funny type persona. And, and if we move on, right, we get another persona. So, to sum it all up, you'll never know whichever hands you will get dealt with, right? Today, you might meet a person that is so expressive, so cheerful, and the next day, you'll meet them again, and there'll be this cold, chaotic type person. And when you meet them again, you get this nonchalant, quiet person. So, like I said, so many versions, so many personas, so many alter egos, so many masks, and each one represents a different version of themselves, right? And not because people do this, not because the situation themselves requires it to. No, people do this because they're afraid of being themselves, right? They're afraid of people knowing the true version, or the real version of who they are. And to say the least, I'm actually here standing on a neutral point of view that you either need it or you don't. So it depends on the situation. If the situation requires you to put it on, do it. Nobody's stopping you. If the situation doesn't require you to, you don't have to. You don't need to, so no need. Me personally, if you met me the first time, I might be this cold and non-talkative type person, because really I don't talk to people. I only talk to them, only engage them unless they engage with me first. It's not egoistic. It's not. Maybe I am a bit egoistic and narcissistic to have that type of impression, but that's me, right? That's me. So I don't usually engage first unless somebody comes over to me and say hi. I say, okay, hi. Sometimes I don't even talk to them after the first couple of words, like hi or something like that. Like I don't, because I can read people like a book. I can read them, so I know what just from the words that you're saying out of your mouth. I know immediately what you want, what type of person you are, what you're capable of. I immediately know. So what I do here is that I set a boundary for myself. I'm not racist, or I'm not selective, but if we humans don't set a boundaries for ourselves, we're like how do I say, we're like a snack, a bowl of snack, where people can just come and pick it up and throw it away, right? You gotta have self-value. You gotta have self-respect. So these sort of qualities makes you who you are. I see some people out there, they'll be like, oh, he can do whatever he wants. Like people can just come and take whatever from him. That right there has zero self-respect, right? And this goes out to everybody in every working field, and especially at the workplace, right? Because when you go to a different environment, you gotta be a different version of you to fit in, right? And people be like, oh, you don't have to fit in. No, you do. You do have to fit in. It's like you're running into a forest, and so you have to become this survival type of person in order to live. You can't keep up being this selective type person that, oh, I can't eat that, I can't do that. No, you don't. You don't eat that shit, you'll die. You starve to death. So you gotta have to take whatever you have and eat it in order to survive, okay? Because you're stuck in the forest, you're lost. Nobody's coming to save you. And so, again, back to the working environment. When you're going to school, or you're attending a meeting, or you're doing a seminar, all of these type of environment requires you to be the best version of yourself. Right? We're not talking about acing homeworks. We're not talking about being employee of the month. No, we're talking about excelling and living up to your responsibility. Right? If your job says you are an engineer, you got to live up to that. Right? You can't show up work late. You can't miss out on a client meeting. You can't do no numbers wrong. You can't do that. Right? You got to show up to your responsibilities. And once you do that, right, you're having a self-respect. You're respecting yourself that you are an engineer. You are a teacher. So if you're a teacher, you got to show up on time. You got to teach with quality. You got to make out homeworks. You got to be able to help, right? Be a role model for your students to look up to and say, oh, my teacher is great, right? He's very helping. He's looking out for us always. right? So, like I said, sometimes if the situation requires you to put on a mask and be someone else, it's okay, right? It's how do I say? It really depends on the situation, honestly. And of course, this does bring positive and negative effects. However, for me, I do see that sometimes the negative effects tend to overwhelm or interlink with the positive effect. However, positive effect here is that you become someone you never. It's like you're holding up a new identity. That you're the same person, right? But you're holding up a new identity that you don't have any experience with. And if you do this, however, you'll become the most versatile human being on earth, because you can be anything you want to be. You can go into any sort of environment and still live, right? It's like you're that dude from X-Men, Darwin, right? He can always adapt to anything. And being that type of person is actually good and bad at the same time. Like I said, there are positive effect and the negative effect, and each one is interlinked, right? It runs together. So you have this flawed human being, right? You're flawed, and so you put on another mask that you are not flawed, and so you're becoming someone that you don't know. You've never dealt with before. However, right, I'm gonna tell you some caution tips around here, is that don't be stuck with it. If you become stuck with it, with being someone that you've never been before, or you've never having any sort of experience with it, you're gonna be becoming someone that you don't want to be. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but if you take up a mantle of someone else, you are bearing the responsibility of that person. You are committing actions in relation to that person, and you are now becoming that person step by step through a walking milestone. And this isn't good, because you might lose yourself. So the goal here is that you have to improve yourself. This is the whole goal, right? The one shot that I need is to become a better version of yourself. That does not mean you have to become someone else. No. What I'm trying to say is you have to become someone else in order for yourself to look up to that somebody else and grow. That's the thing. Life is not about perfection. It's about trials and errors, right? So you're going through what people mostly say a test. Or you're going through this testing, and you come out a new different type of person every time you run into that arena, right? You fight a lion, you come out a different man. And the same thing goes for everything. If you work as a supervisor, right, you're gonna become a manager someday, because now it's related to it, right? It's a stepping stone. So like I said, you'll never be the same person of who you were to be, right? And I think people should acknowledge that you can't be the same person as who you want yourself to be, even though the person you used to be is far more greater than who you are now. Because people change, we evolve, and for us to evolve, we have to change, right? If you protect yourself all the time, you cannot change. It's like Ultron having a quote. I quote this from Ultron, saying, how can you want people to change? What's the word? You want to protect them, but you don't want them to change. How is humanity supposed to evolve if they can't change? It's like a butterfly To become a butterfly, you must first be a caterpillar. And you have to change from being a caterpillar to a butterfly, right? Through that metamorphosis. And the same thing goes for us. We go through trials and errors in order to become a better version of ourselves. And this goes through the process of, like I said, becoming someone that you're not, putting yourself to the test, practicing and always being the best version of yourself. So when you do so, you are betting on every chances, you're evening every odds. And this is good. This is good because you're now like an octopus, sucking everything in your grasp. Right? But you have to know, so you have to suck in good things, not go out and commit bad things. Overall, in a nutshell, you have got to be someone that you're not in order to become the person you want to be.